Okay, Glyn Preston, Liberal Democrats candidate for Montgomeryshire and Glyndwr. You're one of the younger candidates that's running, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
That's right. So yes, I'm Glyn. I've lived in this area. I've lived in Montgomeryshire all my life. I was sort of born and brought up in Llandinam. I went away to university and then came back and was lucky enough to get myself elected to the county council, where I represent Llanidloes ward on Powys Council. I suppose it's one of the things that I'm really passionate about as a young person, which you sort of picked up on, is the fact that lots of my friends and my peers, they did go away to university, but didn't feel as though they could come back because they didn't, not because they don't love this area. They think it's a lovely place to live and work, but they didn't see the opportunities for them here. So that's one of the things I'm really passionate about, is bringing opportunities for younger people back to this area.
Montgomeryshire, for well over a century, has been seen as a Liberal Democrat seat, safe seat, and then it's become a sort of conservative safe seat for the past decade or 15 years or so. This time around, it seems to be a bit more open. Is it no longer a two-horse race here in Montgomeryshire with the addition of Glyndwr?
I would very much argue that in rural areas like Montgomeryshire, especially areas that have a proud Liberal heritage and Liberal history, that we are definitely the alternative to the Conservative Party in areas of the country like this. You only have to look across the border in North Shropshire and in South Shropshire. It's the Lib Dems who are vying with the Conservatives in rural areas like this one. And we're running the county council here. We have more councillors than any of the other progressive parties. So yes, I'd very much argue that we're the progressive alternative in this seat.
You've been out and about, you've been campaigning for a while now. What are you hearing on the doorsteps of Newtown, Welshpool, various towns and villages across the area?
I think the biggest issue on everyone's lips is the health service. And I think the fact that we, especially in a rural area like this, get a raw deal in terms of health services, whether it be trying to see a GP or getting registered with an NHS dentist, or actually, people who are suffering with much more serious ill health, having to go across the border to Shrewsbury and Telford, waiting lists for elective surgery, etc. The health service is in a bit of a mess, and that's the key priority for residents here. It's also about the cost of living crisis as well, and about how people are really struggling to make ends meet. Those are the key things that have been coming up in terms of the canvassing.
We're here at the livestock market in Welshpool. There's some hustings coming up. Farming is a big debate and a big issue and a vote winner for the parties. You've said that farmers have been sold down the river by trade deals. So what can you do to make the farming environment better in Montgomeryshire and Glyndwr?
So just on the trade deals themselves, I mean, I think farmers and lots of other people in society have been massively let down by this Conservative Brexit and the trade deals that have come afterwards, and actually, importing New Zealand lamb and Australian products is not a healthy thing for the agricultural sector in Mid Wales, especially when they're competing on two different playing fields. What can we do? Well, we can renegotiate those trade deals. We can actually negotiate a better working relationship with our closest neighbours and allies in Europe, actually, like we did on the same playing field as we were in the single market, for instance. But it's also about how we properly support farmers through our agricultural policy as well. So, for instance, the Welsh Government are currently going through this process of with the Sustainable Farming Scheme. Actually, the Liberal Democrats believe we need to see that radically reformed, so we can give some certainty to farmers in terms of the money the payments they're going to be given.
Just touched on the EU. The Liberal Democrats is one of the parties that's come out and said long term you'd like to rejoin, short term get back with the single market.
Yeah.
Is that a vote winner in this area, given that there was such a strong feeling towards Brexit 8 years ago here?
Yeah, I think undoubtedly, this area was an area that voted majority for Leave. But I think people are starting to realise now some of the untruths that they were told about Brexit, and it's not been some great panacea since we left the European Union. In fact, things have got a whole lot worse. And actually, particularly our small businesses who rely on imports and exports to Europe are getting really hammered as a result. So I'm really pleased that my party, I think we're the only mainstream party who are calling for that closer working relationship with the EU in terms of single market.
Net zero. I think 2045 is a target. I think the Lib Dems have put in the manifesto. Is it achievable? It's very expensive. Is it a priority, do you think, at the moment?
I think the climate has got to be at the heart of absolutely everything we do. But the really important thing is that Lib Dems are proposing things that actually will have a real life impact to people's bills and the money that people's take-home money. So, for instance, we're proposing a Robin Hood tax on the oil and gas giants who've profited massively during this cost of living crisis, during the spike in oil prices. And actually, we want a one-off Robin Hood tax on their excessive profits so we can invest properly in renewable energy. And that's really important because actually in the future, it insulates ourselves from these spikes in oil prices and means that we'll have proper energy security here as well. So yes, it's a priority, but it's also about making sure that we do it in the right way to lower people's bills and achieve energy security for our country.
We have what's called the elevator pitch to finish. We get in the elevator or the lift on the first floor. We're going up to the 10th floor. You tell me that you're running for the Lib Dems in Montgomeryshire and Glyndwr, so you've got 30 seconds to convince me to vote for you.
Three things. So I'm local. I've lived in this area all my life, and I love this area, and it would be an absolute pleasure to represent it in Parliament if I was lucky enough to be elected. We're campaigning on the issues that really matter here locally, like the health service, like the cost of living crisis and protecting our natural environment. And then thirdly, if you want an end to this Conservative government that's been going for the past 14 years, we are the most effective vehicle to beat the Conservatives in rural areas like this one in Montgomeryshire Glyndwr.